Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hi, I'm Jorge Luna.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
I'm Frank Cooper.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome,
guys,
to another edition of the Watchers in the Basement. As you can see, we've got the tag team duo of George Luna, Frank Cooper on the same screen. So this is a Watchers history right now that you're witnessing. And if you're listening to this, we appreciate it. But if you're listening and you'd like to see this, we're available on YouTube. Just find our YouTube channel. We're Watchers in the Basement, so you can see this momentous.
People want to see our beautiful faces.
Yeah, right. So, guys, today we're here to talk about the third episode of Loki. The title of the episode was Lamentis, and as we learn, Lamentis is the name of a doomed moon or a planet that they visit. Before we go, beat by beat with the episode, what did y'all think about it overall? I'm going to start with George, and then George, you can go to you and Frank can then go. Yeah.
I was disappointed that it was so damn short. Like, I looked at the runtime for this episode. I was like, how is there only 12 minutes left? And I felt like not a lot of stuff happened. So honestly, it was my least favorite episode so far, but we did learn a little bit. But I don't know what you think, Frank.
Yeah, it felt incomplete. It felt like it was just one long scene on a planet. That's what it felt like to me. I didn't see much advancement in the storyline. I'm hoping that picks up in episode 4, 5, and 6 because I didn't get that pizzazz, that feeling of character development that I got in the previous 2 episodes. I mean, we learned a little bit more about, is it Sylvie? Sylvie, aka Loki. But other than that, I felt the episode was very stagnant on Lamentis, the planet, or moon planet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brittany, what do you think?
I have to agree. It wasn't my favorite episode. I feel like it was just a lot of talky, and it really just didn't have any real sustenance to it other than just like a few little things here and there. There are parts of the show that I did quite enjoy, and that's of course, Tom Hiddleston being Tom Hiddleston, not so much just Loki, but Tom. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, not my favorite episode thus far, and we're halfway through the season, so I hope we get a little bit more beyond this point. But what did you think, Justin?
So I agree with y'all. I think it's probably the third best of the 3. But what I liked about it, and this kind of goes back to what I was talking about last week, is to me, this one was very straightforward and easy for me to follow. Like it was very much like, hey, like we've got these 2 main characters. We're going to explain this new character that we got last week. And I like that part of it. The ending of it, I kind of, I question like where it's going, but I did like that it was straightforward and easy to follow. So, so let's get into the episode. And I'm going to start out with something. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed this, and maybe it's all over the internet, and I haven't been looking because I don't want to be spoiled. But in the opening scene, you have Lady Loki, or as we learn her name later is Sylvie, and she's the enchantress basically. But the show opens with a scene where she's in a restaurant with the young female TVA soldier that she kidnapped in the previous episode. And they're sitting down to dinner. And maybe I'm crazy, but over Lady Loki's shoulder, it looks like Ralph Boner, aka Evan Peters, was seated in a table. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah, I heard about that online. I saw a close-up photo, and it does look like it.
It looks a lot like him, and I'm thinking, they later on in the show they explain that obviously this TVA soldier was on Earth, and they were very much on Earth, as was Ralph Boner. So there's like connecting the shows.
That was the most interesting thing, like in this whole episode to me, was that they're actual human beings and they had a life before they turned in, or the TVA brainwashed them, or their variants, or whatever they did to them. They had a life before it, and that answered my question because I thought they were created specifically for that purpose. So yeah, I was glad we learned that. But yeah, Justin, like we saw that guy in I don't know if it's like they're doing it on purpose, because in episode 1 there was a chick that looked like Peggy Carter that walked in the back.
Yeah.
that time door, and then the second one we had the lady that looked like the chick from WandaVision. I forgot her name.
Agatha.
Yeah.
And now we got this guy, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, this guy, it definitely. I thought it was him for sure. I mean, maybe it wasn't, but
Yeah.
man, I mean, this guy's a dead ringer for Evan Peters. So
yeah,
I don't know. I
So-
thought that was interesting.
I didn't notice that up until you guys just talked about it right now. So after
Yeah.
looking it up to see, I can. It's not like a clear shot that from what I'm looking at, but yeah, there's a striking resemblance.
Yeah, he's out of focus, but you can.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can see him, and you can see him more than you normally can see people who are just like out of focus. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like, not that I want to get into a rabbit hole of stuff, because with these shows we've learned that most of the time these shows are just going to be about what they're going to be about. They're not going to be about others, setting
Right.
up other stuff. But that was interesting.
Mhm.
So something I have a question for y'all. Maybe y'all can help me with the and I keep saying Lady Loki, but let's just call her the variant. Why does she have one horn? She's got like the crown of.
it was like an odd to the comic books. There's like a
Mhm.
comic book series where they have I forgot, it was like a Loki comic book, and one of the characters has a horn broken.
Okay.
So I think it's just a nod to that.
But
Yeah.
when Loki had the horns, he had two horns, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. But his headpiece of the horns are much larger than what we see with the variant here, or Lady Loki or Sylvie, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, but George is right. Yes, this is a nod to the comic. I believe it's Loki, Agent of Asgard. So that's why we see this
Okay.
headpiece with a missing horn.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it was cool. I just didn't know if it had been explained yet or what the reasoning was. The first part of the episode, you see Loki and he's following this variant through the TVA building. So it's kind of weird how like last week's episode, they jump into the portal or whatever,
Yeah.
and they end up
Mhm.
back at the TVA building. I thought that was kind of. I wouldn't have, like, if you asked me to predict it, I would have said they were off on some crazy planet like they end up
Yeah.
on later in the episode. But for them to be back there, obviously it shows you that she knows. I mean, she knows where the timekeepers are because that's what the female soldier told her. And
Mhm.
it seems like the timekeepers are at the TVA office. Did y'all get that too?
Which is odd to me. If you like omnipotent gods of time, why would you just be at the same base that all your minions are working at? Wouldn't you be like being like some pie in the sky or like somewhere far
Well,
away from the actual base?
Could it be because of what was revealed in this episode that everyone that works at the TVA is a variant? So could it be that the timekeepers needed to be in the place where all these variants are being kept in order for the magic or whatever to take hold and to keep, that way, if that wasn't the case, then everyone would just be running amok and
Yeah.
freaking out.
But if you're the three guys that create the three guys or gals that created time, I just feel like that's just so like you need these guys to be around in order for this magic to happen. Like if you created time itself or the essence of time, I just feel like you should be more omnipotent than that.
That's why I think they don't exist. Like I don't think like they're not real, or someone's controlling them, just making it seem like they're there.
That makes sense.
That's what I was getting to, because if you noticed on like the previously on, they really focused on that one that looks like King the Conqueror. They showed that part
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And I wonder like if they're just some like figurehead for someone else, you know?
I think so. Because in
Um,
the first episode, they zoom into that face specifically too, like right behind the judge. And in the second
Mhm.
episode, they do a close up as well. So I think you're right, Justin. I think it might be like a little clue of what's to come.
mhm.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was interesting to see just the different dynamics of how Sylvie operates in the TVA versus Loki. Loki already has spent some time there. He knows that his powers don't work inside those walls. Sylvie didn't know that. But I do appreciate how we saw Loki get his daggers, and he does his little flip thing, like what we saw in, I think it was Ragnarok. So that was cool to see, him use the daggers in the fight scenes and things like that, but they were not successful to going through the gold elevators to get up to the timekeepers. So, I don't know if that'll be an attempt that they make in the future and be successful. But for what it was, I did appreciate seeing just those little nods in regards to Loki with the daggers. That was fun to see again.
So I think those elevators are like, they're important. Like the elevator, I don't know what it is, but if you notice, there was different floors and they all had different symbols. Like you don't know what each one could be. Like there was a Miss Minutes like little sign. So what would happen if you press that?
So another point I want to make. So if Morbius doesn't save Loki in his little time variant trial, that means the TVA would have had a god wiped up his memory as a TVA agent. That's what I'm assuming.
Interesting.
Because because episode 1, they're talking about how he would have got wiped. Yeah. And Loki's thinking about, oh, would you have killed me? I'm thinking he would have got wiped and he would have been a TVA agent with no memories of his former life. So like, just think about like what possible these other TVA variants were in their previous life. With some gods as well, with some powerful beings from other planets. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah. I had consider that. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Walking around there, like as some timeline Thanos is walking around the TVA.
He's a mail clerk.
He's a mail clerk, just like a bunch of Infinity Stones that he has no memory of from his former life.
Oh God. He's the one who uses them as paperweights.
Right? That'll be a mind fuck. Sorry, this will let me run next door, so I can't curse her.
Right.
Oh God. Anyway.
So the variant and Loki, they use the TemPad to travel to Lamentis. Lamentis 1 in the year 2077. It's a doomed moon. It's about to crash into another planet, or another planet's about to crash into it. I got very much like Krypton kind of vibes with that place. I got to ask y'all, like a TemPad, how does it compare price-wise with an iPad or maybe Microsoft Surface? I mean, the NFL, they use the Microsoft Surface. We know that.
They do.
I don't know. It didn't look impressive to me. I'm thinking like, for a future time, like.
I just want to know, how long the battery lasts. Cause to me, that's what that's how I'm going to decide what kind of device I'm going to use. Do I need to keep it charged all the time? Go ahead.
I said it didn't last long enough, apparently.
That's true. That's very true.
And that's a good point by you, Brittany, to bring up the battery life, because the TemPad is run down. And so now they're on this new planet. They're trying to find a place to recharge the battery.
Which apparently it requires a huge source of
massive power source.
And I'm like, for that itty bitty little thing. But then in fairness, you are traveling through time and stuff like that. So yes, that's fine. I don't know if they make like a power bank, for these guys, to charge it on the go. Like I'm right. I've got a great one that I use. Maybe they can use it too. Anyway, moving on. Lamentis.
This episode seemed very uncharacteristically reckless, like more than usual. Typically, when Loki has a mission in mind, he has a singular focus of like being mischievous, deceiving to get to his goal. And like, there's an apocalyptic event about to happen on this moon planet where everybody dies, including you and Sylvie. Gonna get off this planet, and he gets drunk and starts singing songs. Like it doesn't. Some doesn't add up. Was he shook about the whole love question? Was he shook about, questioning his very existence? I don't know, but like for him to get so recklessly drunk and like get thrown off the train along with Sylvie, it just seemed like that was very un-Loki to me.
Well, but remember, they knew that this was like an apocalyptic planet, so they know that anything that they do there is not going to change the turn of events. That planet would still be destroyed and all that.
Like that's different now. They could die on this planet because the jetpack is working. So like it's not like when him and Morbius was at Pompeii and like they had an out. They have no out now because the TemPad is literally.
Do you think it's really broken? Because I think he's messing with it.
I think so too.
I think
because
on purpose to try and get more out of her to learn his enemy and learn like more about her.
See, I was thinking that too, but then like when the arc exploded in an episode, that seemed like the last resort with the planet, but to crash with the moon or with the other planet. Like, does he have a grand plan last second to save the day?
but this is Loki. I mean, he is the god of mischief. Let's keep in mind, because the fact that when he did use his magic to hide the tempad, he ultimately said that it's in his heart or whatever. And Sylvie was like, well, then I'll carve it out of you. But when he brings it back out after he's thrown out of the train, he brings it out from behind him. So I'm wondering whether or not it's the actual real thing, or did he just like conjure up something that resembles what it was supposed to be? It's just broken. I don't know. Like, I truthfully don't know, but he could be playing the part. I agree with George to some degree about the fact that maybe he's just trying to learn more about Sylvie and what have you, and keep your friends close, enemy closer kind of thing. So
I think
don't know.
I think Morbius next episode saves him last minute. I think Morbius finds them.
This is one thing that was kind of weird. If Loki can create anything, why the hell didn't he just make up a ticket?
This is also true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, George, ticket fraud is obviously a very serious crime, and we don't want to encourage any of our gods who are listening to do that kind of stuff. No, but before we get too far away from it, to address the drinking and stuff with Loki, remember he's Asgardian. Remember Thor throwing back beers like it's nothing?
Yeah,
like, they just get down like that in Asgard. I think that's just the way it is. So.
Yeah.
Another.
Yeah.
But the difference between Thor and Loki, his back was against the wall of a planet about to explode or collide with another planet. So
that's true. Yeah. I mean, there was a lack of sense of urgency. I agree with you. I mean, it was very reminiscent of Army of the Dead, where people are like having these long, deep conversations. And it's like, you're in a city full of, zombies and the world's about to end. And you're like telling emotional crap that doesn't matter. Like, keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Let me just say, going back to Loki getting drunk and singing, that was my most favorite part of this episode. Tom Hiddleston being Tom Hiddleston and singing in Asgardian, as what the captions was saying. He can carry a tune, and he likes to be the life of the party, apparently. And I was enjoying that scene very, very much. And yeah, I don't know why they chose to throw that in there, but I enjoyed it. Not mad about it. Just saying. Tom Hiddleston, you can sing to me anytime you feel like it, Asgardian or in English. I don't care. Just come sing to me. Okay.
So great. I have a question for you. Tom Hiddleston or Cumberbatch?
Ooh. Yes.
I figured as much.
No, but
one of each, please. Yes.
Who do you think's a better actor?
That's a really good question. They each are great in their own respect. Obviously, they're both in Marvel. That's a really tough question. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that, because
Hiddleston is so much more likable. It's not even close.
Okay,
like,
you're just mad about Sherlock. Okay, that's what you're mad about. You're just mad about Sherlock.
I haven't seen Tom Hiddleston in anything else other than Loki.
He was in the King Kong movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch that shit.
Never watched it.
Kong Skull Island's actually
yeah.
good.
He was in that
like
one.
Of those 4 movies, it's like the actual good movie. It's pretty good.
Never saw it.
He's been in a few other things. I know he was in Midnight in Paris with Owen Wilson. Frank, I sent you that video of Tom doing his impersonation of Owen Wilson, and it was freaking spot on.
I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty spot. That was spot on.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're kind of digressing a little bit. But going back to this episode, one other reveal that we for sure got was that both Sylvie and Loki are bisexual, which is, I think, like a really big thing in this day and age, especially with Disney, kind of just puting that out there, with the question about
Loki admitted that. I took it as he sideswiped the question.
No, because Sylvie asks Loki if he's ever been in a relationship with a would-be princess or perhaps another prince. And he's just like, perhaps, yeah. So
does it say a little bit of, because it makes it sound like they both have done that. They both have, I mean,
he says, so he responds with a bit of both. I suspect the same as you, but nothing ever. She goes, real, love is mischief then. So they both admit that they've been into, same sex, opposite sex, but nothing serious. So yeah, that was a pretty big thing, again.
Being on inclusive and shit. See you, Disney.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a few weeks ago that Tom Hiddleston, like he admitted or whatever that like Loki is like gender fluid in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We figured that out for
yeah
a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah. So yeah, it's even on the end credits, like when you see the different stills go by and it's Loki's like profile and it said sex and it said fluid. So yeah.
Okay.
He's bi.
I need to be more. I need to pay more attention, be more observant. I never watch the credits. I always fast forward through the credits to see when they're post credits.
Yeah, I know that with every end credit now for every episode, there's something that changes. Either something like a poster type thing or just other piece of information. I haven't really quite kept up with it, but I do know for a fact that they do change some things in the credits. So that's something to be on the lookout for future.
Well, but in all seriousness, though, shout out to Disney for being very open and inclusive of all people. Because
yes.
Tell you what, man, Walt Disney himself was a racist piece of shit, and for them 90 years later to be, pretty much the opposite of what Walt Disney was. I give them all the credit in the world, man. So Bob Iger and Feige, those guys, man, shout out to them.
Yeah, I agree. Get with the times, and there are different people out there, and hey, we gotta love them all. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Absolutely.
And going back to that conversation that you just referenced, Brittany. So we learned a lot about, Sylvie. Obviously she's the enchantress because she uses the word enchant or enchantment like in every sentence there for a while. So we, they definitely hammered home that point. But it's an interesting part to me, and maybe I don't understand, but they talk about their mother, obviously. Mm-hmm. And, Loki knew his mother, saw her die, through in the first episode. But then she says she barely remembers her mother. So, mm-hmm. So is she truly a variant of Loki or not? That's what I don't understand. Like, aren't variants the same? You're the same person. You're just different in a different world or timeline. Or am I wrong about that?
Like upbringing and stuff like that. Like if there was like that Hulk Loki variant that we saw in like the little things, I don't think that he'd have the same life as Loki did.
Yeah.
His origin would be totally different than this Loki.
Yeah. I think
okay. But I thought wouldn't a variant still look like Loki though? That's what I'm saying. Like no. Okay.
No, because
I guess I don't understand that part of it then.
Referring to what George's talking about when they were doing the debrief, you saw the frost giant Loki. I mean, Loki, yes, he's of the Jotunheim. He is Laufey's son, but like he's never been truly a full-on frost giant. No different than what George said about like Hulk Loki and Trickster Loki and Viking Loki. I mean, they're all different, personas of Loki. So yeah, I think they would all have like different origin stories, if you will. Because of the fact that it seemed like Sylvie didn't know that this Loki is a prince of Asgard or, things like that.
Yeah,
so.
They even have different powers. Because from what I understand, Loki doesn't enchant. He can't enchant.
Right.
So.
Right. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So just kind of moving the story along, the two meet. They go to this like woman's home, and she has like this like cannon that's it looks like a triangle or something, and she shoots them. But then from there they learn that they're trying to find this power source. The only way there's going to be an evacuation vessel that's going to leave this dying planet, and she tells them, you got to get on the train to get to the Ark to evacuate or whatever. And Loki determines that, hey, like that's where we should try to recharge the Tim pad. and then we've already talked about, you know, what happens on the train. What did y'all think about when Loki became one of the train guys? Like, it was like, to me, he did it like right out in front of everybody. Like, wouldn't people go, "Hey, you look totally different 3 seconds ago"? You know what I mean? Like, some of that stuff was like, I don't know. I didn't understand it.
I don't think people are truly as observant as they claim to be.
They got other stuff to worry about. They're
Yeah.
about,
Like a planet colliding with their planet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're in line though, like, you would notice the person next to you, like if they like tried to cut in line, or if they suddenly like change who they were or what they look like, you'd be like, that's weird.
Well, I mean, Loki is the master of illusion, so maybe
Yeah, that's true.
maybe Noel saw it
Yeah.
when he transformed.
Yeah. And the fact that they were both kind of bickering about like whose plan or, you know, was going to be better, they ultimately had to work together. You know, Loki, his plan worked to a degree by disguising himself as like one of the guards or whatever, but the enchantress had to use her powers to make the guy, you know, believe that, hey, they needed to get on that train without any tickets, which I still think was kind of silly. You know, like, if this is a guard, your fellow colleague, like, why would you ask for a ticket? Like, that's just dumb. But
And Justin, to go back to your point about nobody noticing, remember when the lady with the cannon? He changed right in front of her into her long lost love, and the only reason she caught on because he was too nice. So she didn't see him change. Right. So I think it just goes on with the illusion that Loki can like blind people with his projections and his illusions.
But I don't think she saw him period before that. You know what I mean? Like, because
no, she heard him.
Right.
Yeah.
But the
she never
variant
saw him.
was in front. Okay. So on the train, Loki and Sylvie get into a fight with the guards. Loki's new plan is basically to hijack the Ark and just somehow make sure it gets off the moon. But then there's a moment whenever everything's going bad where you see that he cares about these people on this planet, that basically they're going to be left for dead. That was kind of an interesting part for me, because I wasn't expecting it. Like, he was kind of the hero. You know what I mean? That's what he was kind of acting like. What'd y'all think about that? Yeah,
I think with Loki, it's such a short time span. I mean, we don't know how much time has passed from the time he took the Tesseract, at the time he's went to TVA, but like, he's seen his mother die on screen. He's seen his father die on screen. He's seen Ragnarok blow up on screen. He, you know, I mean, even though he kind of laughed it up with Pompeii being destroyed, but like, he's seen a lot of death over the last, you know, few weeks or few days that he's been in the TVA, and now. So I think that softens you up a little bit. That brings a little perspective to you that, you know, and then on top of that, his powers were pretty much neutralized in the TVA. So he, for the first time probably in his whole life, he felt small, like he didn't feel like a god. So I think that really brings a sense of humility when you see all these events happen in front of you. And then on top of that, he saw his own death as well, you know, at the hands of Thanos too. So I think that humanizes you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, on that note, Frank, and this is just like, going a different direction real fast, but the fact that the last bit of the film of Loki's life it didn't end when Thanos like broke his neck. It ended with Thor, mourning over Loki's body. So to say like that's the last thing that Loki ever actually felt, before completely dying is a very interesting notion, because the fact that like you would see him again as this mischievous individual who only thinks of himself and what have you, but that he actually felt like love from someone else, and that was his brother Thor, obviously. So yeah, but you're right, Loki has seen a lot of death, destruction, if you will, and by the fact that he has to change plans in order to get off this planet because the supposed time pad, whatever the crap that stuff's called, is broken. I'm still not convinced it really is, because he said it's in one place, but then he pulled it from a different place. But anyway, he changed his course, and it might mean the end of his life as well as Sylvie's, right? So I forgot the point that I was trying to make here. Sorry. But the fact that, they're trying to still survive, but, constant destruction is going around him. And it almost seemed like he wanted to maybe help these other people in a way, but like, I don't know. Sylvie is all about herself, it seems. She doesn't want Loki's help. She doesn't trust him, but Loki is still trying to, be on her side in a way, but we obviously know there's something else up his sleeve. But at the same time, he's also trying to do the right thing and be a good person, possibly. I'm not sure.
You think with Loki, he's trying to find a new purpose in life, a new lease on life now that everything he's known for the last 2,500, 3,000 years of like conveying this mystique of inspiring fear while he's still a little boy inside. Or you think he's trying to transition to like finding a new purpose of humility and like unselfishness?
I feel like Loki is going to keep playing the game until he gets what he wants. I think that's ultimately who he is. Let me put it that way. He is going to do whatever it takes to get him from point A to point B. We saw that when he assumed Odin's throne. He impersonated Odin, made Thor go away from Asgard, and sent Odin off to that retirement home in New York. I mean, this is just who Loki is. You want to believe that there's good in him, but then at the same time, you also know that there's ulterior motives. He said it in the previous episode that not every good person is good, not every bad person is bad. So in other words, everyone has a little bit of both. I think he just channels it one over the other when it's going to be in his favor.
So what is the end goal for Loki of the Odenheim? Is he trying to get the timekeepers rewrite his whole fate? Is that what is the end goal you guys think? And anybody can answer this question. I don't know myself.
I think either he's going to try to assume control, because from that line of the very first episode, is this the greatest power, ever, or the universe, whatever that line was. And that's what he wants. He wants power, it seems. He's not going to be king of Asgard. He's definitely not going to be, king of the Jotunheim or whatever that is. I think he's just seeking ultimate power. That's his glorious purpose, maybe in his opinion. I'm not sure.
I think he's definitely power hungry, but I also think that he wants to defy the odds. There was I guess it was in episode 2 when he said, these timekeepers are not going to determine my fate. I'm paraphrasing. He said something similar to that. Mm-hmm. And I think he wants to, he saw what happens with his life and he wants to change that. And, I don't think that he's a full blown, Avenger, good guy, but
he's part of the Revengers though. Remember, with Valkyrie and Thor.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah. From Ragnarok. I got you.
So, go ahead, Justin.
Go ahead. No, I'm done. That's it.
So the end of this series, does Loki get back to the main timeline? And when I say main timeline, does he replace Loki that died in that timeline?
I don't think so.
I don't think there is going to be a main timeline.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, honestly. I'd like for him to go back to the main timeline, but that's on the assumption that he's rewritten his life via the timekeepers, or unless he's destroyed them, or he just did it himself. I mean, that's the only way I could see him actually going to the main timeline. Otherwise, it would just be him assuming the mantle of being over the TVA and doing whatever it is that he wants to do in that realm. I'm not sure. I think we talked about this maybe last week or the week before about how we're seeing a lot of the original characters being not done away with, exit out. Thank you. And we're bringing in a new, wave of characters. So I'm not sure where Loki's going to fall in that, but I would like to see him back. Just saying, give me more Tom Hiddleston.
I will say this. I think George is right as well. I think I said this in episode 1. I think Loki's going to destroy the timelines, the TVA or the representatives of TVA, and I think it's all going to flow into Strange Multiverse of Madness, and we'll see a whole bunch of new characters from all the other Marvel properties play a role in phase. Was it phase 5 now?
Yep.
No, it's still phase 4.
Still phase 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think.
So on that question, well, because you mentioned multiverse of madness, we know that for sure. It's a Doctor Strange movie. We know Wanda is going to be in that movie. Now, arguably so, I think we can agree that Wanda is probably like the most powerful individual in this whole series, right?
Yes.
In whole realm. Okay, but now let's talk about Sylvie a little bit. Her powers of being an enchantress and being able to get into the memories of people who are, I guess, weak-minded and, you know, manipulate that way. I mean, could that go up against Wanda and her powers?
It depends, because like she said in this episode, her powers are only effective if you're dealing with a weak mind or somebody who has a weak constitution. She could overpower Loki, and Loki's a god, but Loki's not one of the more powerful people in Marvel. I mean, he's powerful, but
yeah,
compared to Thor and you know, Wanda, he doesn't compare. So, and Wanda's the most powerful of them all. You know, so I don't know what as we've seen as a far. So I don't know if Sylvie's power can rival that, because like her power is only rivals if you can take over your mind.
Yeah, I don't know. It just popped in my head about, you know, just if they were to go toe to toe, you know, we saw Wanda against Agatha, you know, and that's because Wanda didn't know the extent of the Scarlet Witch powers. Enchantress taught herself, right? Kind of much like Wanda, because she said no one else taught her how to use her powers. So it's like I wonder how they would interact, you know. It'd be an interesting a few scenes, you know. Let me just put it that way, you know. I think I'm all for it.
Yeah, she might be the same level as Agnes, maybe, as far as, you know, witchcraft and sorcery goes, but I don't think Sylvie's seen Strange or Wanda as far as power level. I mean, that's PhD level, man. She might be master, but she ain't PhD level, not yet.
Noted.
I think this movie, while it seems like it's going to lead into the multiverse of madness, I think it's going to lead more into the Ant-Man Quantum Mania movie.
That's it.
I think that's going to be that's where, you know, if we see Tom Hiddleston again, I would bet that it would be in that movie. Just a hunch.
I don't care where he shows up as long as he's there.
Okay. So we pretty much covered everything in the episode, but the final part, the planet is exploding. Loki and Sylvie are fighting their way through the guards. They're trying to get on this ark. Then we see the ark is destroyed by a meteor. So my question to y'all, what does that mean? Are they stuck on this planet? Are they on this dying planet? Are they going to die? Like, what do y'all think is next, like, for episode 4?
I think it's what Frank said, that Mobius is going to come save Loki and get him out of it.
Okay.
Or he's hiding the time pad, the real time pad that actually works, and they'll find a way to charge it. But I like the Mobius saving part. I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah. I could go with either of those options. I don't know if this plays any significance whatsoever. Just one little detail. After Loki and them were thrown out of the train, that he no longer is wearing the variant jacket. So I'm not sure if that would be like a breadcrumb for someone from the TVA to, you know, try to locate him, that kind of thing. And that's how they get rescued. Anything goes at this point. But I do like the notion that Loki is holding the actual time pad. That way they can make it safe, or make it out safely at the last possible second, I'm sure.
I guess the final thing I'll say about the episode is last week we talked a lot about apocalypses and how, like, some of them didn't seem like apocalypses. This one was an apocalypse. It was an apocalypse. Like, when you're on a dying moon or whatever planet, like, that's actually an apocalypse. So
It's the end of civilization as we know it.
Yeah. So did y'all have anything else you want to talk about from the episode?
I think the previous episode of Loki and Morbius cracking the code of these apocalypses. I think Morbius puts two and two together and figures out which apocalyptic event Sylvie and Loki are at to find them. I think that's what ended up happening.
Okay.
Interesting. A little off topic from that, but because you did mention Mobius, I do want to just kind of touch on this. The fact that everyone in the TVA is a variant. They, C20 had been on Earth once upon a time, and that was the memory that was selected when we first saw Sylvie and her together having drinks. Could Mobius have been pulled from his timeline in the 90s? Because he's like obsessed with the 90s, right? The jet skis,
I think so.
the pop. I don't know why I just said pop. I'm from Texas. Hello. The soda, the candy, a lot of, or maybe not the candy, but a lot of things are 90s reference. And he's just very like immersed in that time. So I'm just curious, maybe that's the timeline that he's from.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally think that. Yeah.
Quite possible, for sure. Yeah, that was a great revelation. I mean, the episode was very stagnant to me, but that was a good revelation of finding out that these variants of people, pretty much they're serving their time by having their minds wiped. I'm very intrigued to know what Morbius was before he got wiped, for sure.
He probably owned a lot of jet skis.
That is something that whenever Loki learns that, he's like, they're at this TVA, they don't even know that they had other lives. Like he does seem like he's kind of maybe concerned about Mobius or concerned about the people there. So,
but I mean, what y'all saying? I didn't notice it, but what y'all saying about Peggy Carter and Agnes and all these other characters you might have seen, maybe those versions of those characters jump time and now they're serving the punishment as variants in the TVA as well, Yeah.
So on the note of Peggy Carter, are we going to see Steve Rogers?
I don't know. I mean, the TVA shit has been no sense to me. Like things that happen, like that doesn't make, like who decides what's supposed to happen? I don't know. And I need more clarity on that.
Oh, Justin decides what's going to happen.
That was a joke for our viewers. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Oh, anyway, but yeah. So overall, like I said, this episode wasn't my favorite. It had its good moments. Like I said, with the drunken Loki singing, that was fun for me, and the revelation of obviously that TVA really isn't all that they say they are. So hopefully we'll see more revealed in the next episode, because there's only 3 more episodes after today. Can't believe that. It's insane.
Yep. 3 down, 3 to go. So we're at the halfway point of Loki. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about before we get out of here?
Gangs of London.
Yep.
Oh boy.
I'm so happy. I got two of the 4 watchers on this show, and they're very pleased about this show, and I'm very, very happy about that.
I finally watched it. It was good. I liked it. I watched the entire season in 2 days. So it was pretty good. I'm excited to see what happens next season.
Yeah. Well, we can't, at time of recording, can't talk a whole heck of a lot because Frank still hasn't watched the season finale as of yet. Yeah. But once this premieres on YouTube and of course our different audio platforms, we'll all be caught up. But we will be bringing individual recaps of every episode of Gangs of London. So if you're into this show, it's on AMC. It has already finished its season, but we will be bringing you the recap. So that's 10 episodes. That's 10 weeks. Tune in. Tune in. It's an intense show. It really is. And I think out of the whole 10 episodes, there was one that was just effing ridiculous. Like absolutely effing ridiculous.
Yes.
Episode 6, exactly. So if you're interested to find out what we're talking about, be sure to tune into the future for Gangs of London episode reviews with Frank, George, myself, and maybe we'll get Justin on board. Who knows? We'll see.
Hopefully. And if you don't have AMC Plus, Amazon Prime has this deal. It's like 99 cents for 2 months. So don't say I didn't tell y'all people, so y'all can get it.
That's pretty good.
Let's get it, Justin. Let's get it, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think y'all got it covered. I think y'all have already watched it. I think you're ready to do a podcast about it. I don't want to get in the way. Like I'm.
Goodness.
I think Justin's mad at me because I didn't give Mojo Word a chance.
Modoc.
But
no. I'm not. I don't have it, and I don't really. I'm not really interested in it, honestly. Like it's okay that we can watch different shows. Like it's.
You just need it. You're not interested in it.
I don't really like British people. Like I'm not.
Wow. But yet you watched all episodes of Game of Thrones. I can't even say the show anymore.
That was the British version, was Games of Thrones. Yeah. No.
And Sherlock. Is it because of Sherlock?
No, but I mean, like, Sherlock didn't help things. I'll just put it that way. No. Okay. Let's do this. The Office, the British version or the American version?
Apples and oranges.
Okay. I'm America all day. These colors don't run. Okay. Yeah.
And America wouldn't have its own version of The Office if it wasn't for the UK version.
Fair, but
just like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Just saying. It was a UK show first, and then America got it. The only difference is that seasons ran longer here in the States than they did in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. No, listen, I'm happy for y'all. I'm happy that y'all have a new show, and like I'm you know what? I'm eager to hear the pod and watch the pod. If it's gonna be, is it gonna be both video and audio, or what are y'all doing?
Well, hold on. Before we get on that, you about to watch House of the Dragon next season. 95% of the cast is gonna be British.
That's completely different. It's completely different.
How's it different?
Because it's not set in London, or it's not like like they're not literally.
Because it's not modern. Is it because it's not modern?
No,
you like John Wick. You like John Wick. There's British characters in John Wick. Just saying.
Yeah, there's British characters in everything. I get that.
This is true.
But this show, all I know about it is that it's British. Sorry. See ya. I don't need it.
It's in London. Gangs of London.
I know. Game of Thrones is a genre I already like. And if they were like American or British, I don't care, because it's about the dragons and the swords and whatever. Just like Star Wars. Yeah, in Star Wars, some of the people are British, obviously. Well, okay, but that's a genre I like. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything about this.
You're really comparing Star Wars to this right now? Like, no.
No, I'm just explaining to you, because y'all brought up Game of Thrones, and I'm explaining the differences.
Because it was set in the UK. It was filmed in the UK. It's UK actors.
No, what I'm saying is, all I know about this show is it's based in London. I'm good.
And there are gangs in London.
Okay, but
I think Justin's a lost cause at this point.
All right,
that's fine.
It's fine.
Hey,
but again, Frank, George, and myself will be doing 10 episodes over Gangs of London. Be sure to tune in the future, because we're going to wrap the whole series of Loki first, and then we're going to talk Black Widow, because we have all been waiting for Natasha Romanoff and her jumpsuit. Let's just be real. I know Frank is down with what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Also, not British. Just saying.
She's Canadian, though. So you have nothing against Canadian?
Is she?
She's Canadian.
Okay.
She's a twin as well, and she's Canadian.
But she was born on the American side, right?
No. It's not how it works.
Okay. Your ancestors are gonna be really pissed off at you.
Oh my God.
My ancestors? I don't even know where my ancestors are from, honestly. I really don't.
I think
I
he
don't-
said there's German ancestry,
think
so
they're
that
from-
might be it.
I don't think they're from England. I don't think so.
Boyd sounds pretty British or Irish or Scottish or
I think,
somewhere around.
I think Boyd is probably more Germanic kind of thing.
The Aunt Victoria III of Europe is really pissed. Same, bro.
Hey,
Edward.
Edward.
listen,
He's related to the Kaiser.
I've been watching Euro 2020. Okay, like so,
Oh,
I
God.
get my fill of British people talking about footy. You know what I mean? About the beautiful game.
What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, you're not a soccer head like I am now. So, and see, I don't even say soccer anymore. I call it football. Okay.
says the guy wearing a baseball cap of the Astros. Just saying.
Yeah, the Astros have won 9 in a row. They're killing it.
I know they are. Good for
yeah.
them.
So
Astros.
I'm lost in like what we're even talking about now.
Gangs of London. I'm gonna say it one more time. Justin, you watch it.
Can't watch it.
You can watch it.
I don't have the channel, and I don't have the means to have the channel.
You have Amazon Prime. George just
I don't have a
told
computer.
you.
I don't have a computer.
How are you doing this pod?
It's an illusion.
Ah,
I'm a variant. I'm pretty sure I'm a variant.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
No, but I am looking forward to y'all's pod on that British show. That sounds awesome.
Us talking about the show, baby.
Not the
Vote
show.
on the show.
What's that?
We'll stay your ass all season long, Justin. Just saying, man.
Oh man.
I mean, I haven't heard a lot of chatter about it. I'll be honest. Besides y'all talking about it.
93% Rotten Tomatoes right now.
It's Frank. It's a
Never
lot.
heard of that site. Never heard of that.
It's a lost cause. Okay,
Is that a
we've
reputable
given up.
site?
We've given up on him.
Off the finale, buddy. Let's
All
wrap it up.
Cool. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Frank, watch the finale and then we'll all talk. Well, without Justin, we'll all talk about it because I've got.
Don't leave me out. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're leaving you out. You're dead to us.
I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
Very well.
I've got the NBA playoffs. I got Major League Baseball. I got soccer. I got everything. Superman and Lois.
Oh, God.
That's a better
Ah,
show.
yes. Frank, have you caught up on that yet?
Over.
Let it go.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. If people want to comment on social media about how smart I am to avoid watching games in London, or maybe it's the dumbest mistake of my life, how can they do that, Brittany?
So Justin Boyd's direct Facebook page is, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, we do want to hear your thoughts about what you think of Loki and if you've watched Gangs of London as of now. So be sure to look for The Watchers in the Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to find out the latest video uploads from us. Be sure to like and leave a comment. We do respond to all of your comments out there. Thank you to everyone who have, left your love and support for our podcast. We really, really do appreciate it. And by spreading the word about this little podcast. So you do that by using hashtag Watchers Basement on social media. And if you're not into video podcasts, you can listen to us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, thanks to anchor.fm. Be sure to rate us, subscribe, and once again, share this podcast to those who don't know about us yet. So we really appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Brittany. So for Brittany, for George, for Frank, this is Justin saying we'll see you next week when we review episode 4 of Loki. See ya. Bye-bye.